Good morning, everyone. No, I was not saluting you. 1 second. I think I got it cleared. Hold on. So, how's it going, everyone? Amour's little cat. Don't believe I've seen you before, so welcome. And thank you to whoever just left a like. Very pleased to hear that. Let me just get a look at your profile picture there, or PFP. Uh, I don't know what that's from. Yes, I do know Minecraft. Yes, but it's been years. I don't usually get a lot of viewers. Um, in fact, the most I think I've gotten is maybe five or more. But that's what happens when you don't, you know, try to manipulate the algorithm to get yourself more views and, you know, utilize little tricks here and there that can help you get out there. No, not even close. Temporarily. I think what happens is people just hop on real quick, and if they don't see anything that they like, or the person isn't talking about something that interests them, they leave immediately. Mia, yes. Hello to your friend, Julio. Apparently, Mia's friend. Not a problem. Nancy, what about Wolverine? What is there a question, or do you happen to know someone named Wolverine? Uh, how am I? Doing all right. Uh, how are you? What is it about Wolverine, Nancy? Or did you just feel like posting that? Glad to hear that. Do I know? Well, that's a compliment I've never received in the past. I've been told that I look like I've been told that I look like Tobey Maguire before, but that of course was years ago. You know what? I guess my hair kind of does look like Wolverine's hair, doesn't it? Problem is, I don't have the build, and I'm too tall to be Wolverine. At least I think. I forget what his height is. That's not a bad idea. Wonder how my Hugh Jackman impression can be. How you doing, bub? Now I can't unsee it. My hair the way it is totally looks like a Wolverine hairstyle. Hey, if someone here has pull, thinks that I'd be right for the role of Wolverine after losing more weight and putting on a ton of muscle, I'm down. Just made my day with that comment. You really did. I feel like in the past I've slandered. I feel like in the past I've come off as slandering Wolverine because I act like I don't like him at all, which is not the case. I have a very complicated relationship with Wolverine, which was a weird way to put it, because I love him in the movies, but for some reason I can't really get into him in um the animated series I've seen him in, um or games. And I don't know what it is about Hugh Jackman's portrayal that changed all that for me, but he's cool. He just never really did anything for me for some reason. Um, who made what? Huh? What live stream? Who created what live stream? If there's a comment about the live stream, good to see you back, Nancy. Thank you for the like. Hexaplays. I don't see that here. Um, well, from where I sit, your English is very on point. A little bit of a, maybe not a fun fact, but I think it's interesting. Trivia. Um, did you know that the original plan for, I believe it was the X-Men movies from the earlier 2000s, was to have Mel Gibson play Wolverine? Maybe that's just a rumor, but it sounds legitimate. Heck, if we had the ability to de-age actors, I think Clint Eastwood probably would have been Wolverine. Hey, whatever helps you learn is adequate is fine. No, no, I'm talking about an actor named Mel Gibson. At one point, he was considered for the role of Wolverine. Yeah, I know. The only thing is he doesn't wear glasses. I don't have. Well, I guess these could be considered mutton chops if they were grown out a bit. Um, I'm not sure if he has facial hair though. Another season? I haven't seen it, so I wouldn't know. Okay. Actually, yeah. Now that I think about it, is Mel uh Jamal? I hope I read that correctly. Hello. Thank you to whoever just left a like, bringing us up to three. Alrighty. Armor's little Amor's sorry, little cat cot. Ugh. Um, see you later. Yes. Hello. I'm not entirely sure what that emoji means. One of those flags, I believe, is Israel, and the other, I don't know. I just thought I would mess with this thing. I'm not expecting anybody to uh, be a coffee drinker in this chat, but if you do and you like it, feel free to answer. By the way, I'm not sure if anyone's seen this show. Maybe you're too young, um, or just haven't. But does anyone think that I bear any resemblance to Walter White from Breaking Bad? Or at least my glasses. Kind of surprised he hasn't been offered a Marvel role, along with some other famous actors, like. Well, I mean, what in the world was I trying to say there? Well, I mean, Will Smith, makes sense because of that whole thing that happened that pretty much destroyed his career. Um, there's Charles Dance. Um, Hmm. Very surprised that Johnny Depp wasn't offered a role in the MCU. But then, how Disney treated him with the whole thing he went through. My personal opinion, though, maybe he was a bit too old for the role at the time. Um, I thought he would have been an excellent Doctor Strange. Better than Benedict Cumberbatch, because, yeah, he's a great actor, but his Doctor Strange just comes off as Doctor House to me, because that accent sounds like Doctor House. Just not as convincing of an accent. And I'd imagine if it wasn't for the fact that Hugh Laurie was already like in his 50s or possibly closer to 60s, they may have actually offered him the role because I think he would have been perfect as Doctor Strange. I kind of find Cumberbatch to be a little tad overrated as an actor. He's good, but they act like he's one of the greatest to ever live, to have ever lived. And I don't know. What's that in response to? Bitin dress. I probably butchered that pronunciation. To be honest, though, my problem with Doctor Strange in the MCU actually has nothing to do with Benedict Cumberbatch. Um, I think the first movie is serviceable, but it felt a little weak. I think Marvel has an obsession now with doing a different villain in every film as opposed to having one overarching villain and then a secondary villain in each film, like what was done with Thor, where Loki was kind of a villain for all three of the first, what was at one point a trilogy, um, before turning over a new leaf. Because, I mean, they just end up taking out those villains anyway. Like, I mean, I get it because they want to use, different characters. They don't want to keep them around forever, but certain characters have a lot of potential. It's like one of my biggest criticisms of their handling of Doom. They're just going to have him appear in two movies and then be gone, and that's it, which is just ridiculous to me. And yet Loki's still around. I realize he's not a villain anymore, but really, Loki, he gets to stick around. I don't think it has anything to do with the character. I think it's just the performance. Because Hiddleston is fantastic. That's fine. Like, outside of Hiddleston's performance, I honestly find Loki to be kind of lame. No need to apologize. And I think the one sin they committed with those Thor movies was not using the Enchantress as a villain in one of them. They went with Hela. I don't know. I will say something controversial though. I actually didn't like any of the Thor movies until Ragnarok. I have my problems with it, but overall, I like it a lot more than the first two. I do feel like they tried to inject Guardians of the Galaxy humor into it at times, which it's like, all right, I understand you want humor in your movies, but maybe change the style of humor depending on the film and what seems natural for the characters to say and do. Like, there's one scene in Black Panther that I really can't stand where I forget the characters' names. I think it's Okoye and the woman that's like seemingly romantically involved with T'Challa. They're in a car and they're driving away during some chase. And the vehicle gets shot by something that pretty much destroys it. And in Looney Tunes fashion, they're still rolling along in like an almost completely destroyed vehicle. It's like, who thought that was a good idea? This isn't Looney Tunes. Even though the comics can, even though you know, even though Marvel can get silly from time to time, unless it's Deadpool, you shouldn't be going for that. And you see people complain about the fact that there's some people think there's too much comedy in the movies, and I can see their point. Um, because some of it just isn't natural, right? When we laugh at Tony Stark, it's because he's just being his usual snarky self. He says something that makes us laugh because we didn't expect it or because he just roasted somebody, right? That's in character. Um, to kind of tease and mess around with people. But like, were there moments when Ultron was funny? That doesn't really make any sense. I mean, okay, yeah, it does in the MCU because he's built by Tony Stark and has his mannerisms and whatnot. But if you really think about it, it doesn't make sense for Ultron to have that because the intention was that Ultron would be a security, um, what's the word? Security system, right? Of all the times for somebody to call me, it had to be during a stream. I'll have to call him back. Sorry about that, folks. But um, with that phone call having come, I do believe it would be a good idea to end this stream. Uh, and hopefully see you all in little over 8 hours when I do my next one, which is more of a discussion. So thank you once again for joining me this morning. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you had a good time, found any of the conversations or anything that was talked about interesting. And if you are interested, I have plenty of streams where I talk about things related to Marvel, mainly Iron Man and the MCU. And with that, I'm going to now have a billionaire and superhero tell you something. The truth is, I am Iron Man.